glad to have you join us on African News 24 TV for the latest news from across the world that are shaping the day. I'm Timothy Crown at Diribigbe. Let's take the highlights first. President Bola Tinubu presents budget of 58.18 trillion naira to the joint session of the National Assembly. Members of the House of Representatives vote against bill that criminalizes vote buying during party primaries, support strong punishment for same offense during general election. Chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission weighs in on the leadership crisis bedeviling the People's Democratic Party. And now to the main crux of the conversation, beginning with the presentation of the 2026 budget by the President Bola Tinubu to the joint session of the National Assembly. President Tinubu, during the presentation, informed the Assembly that the budget aims at consolidating microeconomic stability, reduce poverty, improve business investment environment, and strengthen human capital development. He promised to manage debt with discipline, assuring of reducing waste, announcing an end to multiple budget cycles. He stated that from April 2026, the federal government will operate a single unified budget framework funded through a central revenue cycle to improve efficiency, transparency, and fiscal discipline. According to President Tinubu, the 2026 budget is anchored on projected total revenue of 34.33 trillion naira, while total expenditure is estimated at 58.18 trillion naira, resulting in a fiscal deficit of 23.85 trillion naira, representing 4.28% of gross domestic product. He disclosed that 15.52 trillion naira is allocated for debt servicing, 15.2 trillion naira for recurrent non-debt expenditure, and 10.8 trillion naira for capital expenditure. According to the President, security, infrastructure development, education, and health are the priority of the budget, with expectation of growing the economy by 3.9%. President Tinubu also reviewed the implementation of the 2025 budget, acknowledging challenges linked to transition and competing execution demands. Despite this, he said about 70% of the 2025 budget was implemented, with key obligations met, assuring that 2026 would deliver stronger budget execution and tighter fiscal control. President Tinubu urged lawmakers to support the passage of the 2026 appropriation bill titled Budget of Consolidation for Shared Prosperity. Before this meeting, the Senate Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources had begun the screening of nominees expected to steer Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The lawmakers examined the candidates on their competence and plans for reform. Our next report tells how lawmakers had expressed confidence in the experience and capacity of the nominees.
The Senate Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources has screened 2 nominees expected to play a central role in the regulation of Nigeria's oil and gas industry. Saidu Mohammed, nominated as Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, and Odushanmiwa Esan, designated as head of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, to be appeared before the lawmakers to defend their competence to the national economic goals.
We have to protect our local investment, because if local refining, we have been yearning for it. There was a time in this country where the 3 local refineries were the ones meeting our demand. As a matter of fact, the 4th refinery that came into Port Harcourt was for export, and that's why we built the Boni Export Terminal. The products were supposed to be exported, and behold, we started exporting.
You must analyze real numbers. And if you don't have a digitized system in today's operation, you are losing money, you are wasting money. So these are areas that we must focus on.
The nominees addressed concerns over Nigeria's continued dependence on imported petroleum products despite its vast crude oil reserves.
We are joining you, congratulating Mr. President, congratulating Nigeria for having you to lead this very important sector very critical, more especially this time around where we are in serious need of to boost our energy production in order to maximize our revenue.
I am very happy with Mr. President for the appointment of both of you. Very well educated, very experienced, very apt. You are like the round peg in a round hole. They've said so many good things about you, both the ones you've done and the expected ones. I have no fears that they are wrong.
Members of the Joint Committee expressed confidence in the nominees' qualification and experience, describing them as capable hands needed to stabilize the volatile oil and gas industry and boost energy production to maximize.
Still in the red chamber, the Senate has confirmed 64 ambassadorial nominees submitted by President Bola Tinubu following the conclusion of a screening exercise by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. Lawmakers say the confirmation is aimed at strengthening Nigeria's diplomatic presence and advancing the country's foreign policy objectives. This report tells us more.
The Senate has confirmed 64 ambassadorial nominees submitted to President Bola Tinubu following the conclusion of a screening exercise conducted by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. Presenting the committee's report on the floor of the Red Chamber, the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Sabi Bello, said the nominees were carefully assessed on their qualifications, experience, and understanding of Nigeria's foreign policy objective.
The committee has carefully and thoroughly screened the 34 nominees, and it is satisfied with their qualification, exposure, conduct, character, experience, and general performance. The nominees have displayed wide, in-depth knowledge on international diplomacy.
Lawmakers who contributed to the debate described the screening process as thorough, stressing the importance of appointing diplomats capable of effectively representing Nigeria's interests abroad.
To my dismay, I couldn't find Zamfara State on the list. None, both career and non-career. I wouldn't say that, I believe it must be an oversight by some officials that will have use the hands and eyes of Mr. President.
List of ambassador nominees is not exhaustive. In other words, it has not been exhausted. The number of countries are so many, and some of them are career ambassadors. The non-career ambassadors are not even as many as they ought to be. So I believe that another list will be coming, and Zamfara State cannot be left out.
The Senate also emphasized the strategic role of ambassadors in strengthening bilateral relations, promoting economic diplomacy, and protecting the interests of Nigerians living overseas, urging them to uphold professionalism and patriotism in the discharge of their duties.
From the red to the green chamber, where members of the House of Representatives have rejected a proposal seeking to criminalize vote buying during party primaries, congresses, and conventions while considering amendments to Nigeria's Electoral Act. The clause, which was debated during clause-by-clause consideration of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, proposed a 2-year jail term without an option of fine for anyone found guilty of inducing delegates with money or material benefits during party nomination processes. The lawmakers who voted down the provision through a voice vote presided over by the Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu raised concerns that the measure could be abused or used to target political opponents given the internal nature of party activities. While the lawmakers reject criminalizing the action in party primaries, they approve tougher penalties for the same offense and other electoral malpractices during general elections. These punishments include imprisonment, heavy fines, and disqualification from contesting elections for offenders. Obviously worried by the rather unending leadership crisis facing the People's Democratic Party, The Independent National Electoral Commission today convened a troubleshooting meeting with the two rival factions of the opposition party. INEC Chairman Professor Josh AMUPITAN opened the session at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja, saying the intervention became necessary after the electoral body received conflicting official correspondence from groups laying claim to the leadership of the party. The meeting brought together the TURAKI-led faction, which claims to be the party's legitimate national working committee, and a rival group aligned with Abdulrahman Mohammed and backed by the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, which has established a national caretaker committee. After Amopiton's remarks, the discussions continued behind closed doors. At the end of the meeting, both factions appreciate the umpire's invitation for a meeting where both sides were able to state their grievances. Let's go on a break now. When we return, we will tell you how many firms are retaining their tax holiday. That'll be on business. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're glad to know you're still with us. In business, the federal government has confirmed that 149 companies currently benefiting from pioneer status tax incentives will continue to enjoy the tax holidays for at least 2 more years, even as the country prepares to implement a new tax regime from January 1st, 2026. The Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission made the disclosure during a media briefing, saying that existing pioneer status beneficiaries will be protected under the transitional provisions of the incoming tax framework, ensuring continuity of incentives already granted. The Commission said the pioneer status incentives, which provide corporate income tax exemptions to qualifying firms for an initial period and possible extensions, have been used to attract investment since 2017, noting that the scheme has supported significant capital investment in job creation. The extension of benefit to these 149 firms comes amid broad tax reforms encapsulated in the Nigerian Tax Act 2025 and related legislation. And on the foreign scene, leaders of the European Union have agreed to give Ukraine a 90 billion euro loan after failing to agree on using frozen Russian assets. The agreement, which leaders said would meet Ukraine's military and economic needs for the next 2 years, came after days of talks at a summit in Brussels. European Union Chief Antonio Costa, in a statement on X, announced the decision, which according to him provides a loan backed by the body's common budget. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed his gratitude to the gesture of the loan, which he is expected to begin paying back once the country gets its first reparation. Welcome to sports. Former two-time heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua is set to face YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul tonight in a high-profile crossover bout in Miami, United States. The contest, billed as one of the most talked about non-title fights in recent boxing history, will take place at the Kaseya Center and will be streamed globally on Netflix. Joshua enters the fight seeking to reassert his status following recent setbacks in his professional career, while Paul continues his transition from social media personality to professional boxing, aiming for the biggest win of his career against an established elite opponent. The matchup has drawn mixed reactions within the boxing community, with supporters citing its global appeal and critics questioning the competitive balance due to the fighters' contrasting experience levels. Welcome to entertainment. Nigerian Afrobeat superstar David Adeleke, widely known as Davido, has been confirmed as the headline act for the opening concert of the Total Energies African Cup of Nations 2025, scheduled to take place in Rabat, Morocco. The Confederation of African Football described the concert as a warm-up to the highly anticipated Continental Football Tournament. According to CAF, Davido will lead a star-studded international lineup that includes global hip-hop icon French Montana, Moroccan singer Doua Lahi, French-Moroccan hitmaker, latist, and fast-rising artist Says. The organizers noted that the diverse mix of performance reflects AFCON's commitment to celebrating African culture, music, and its growing global influence. The concert is set for Saturday, one day before the tournament officially kicks off. AFCON 2025 is expected to unite Africa's top national teams in Morocco, with organizers promising a vibrant fusion of football, entertainment, and cultural expression. In other news, Nollywood actors Ike Ogbonna and Rita Dominic have been speaking in defense of the movie A Very Dirty Christmas, following criticism from the Christian Association of Nigeria. The actors addressed the controversy in separate reactions, stressing that the film is a work of fiction intended for entertainment and not an attack on Christianity or its values. According to Ogbonna, the title and storyline should be viewed within the broader context of creative expression, noting that movies often explore societal issues in exaggerated or symbolic ways. He urged critics to watch the film before drawing conclusions, adding that storytelling thrives on diversity of themes and perspectives. Rita Dominic also weighed in, describing the backlash as a misunderstanding of the film's intent. She explained that A Very Dirty Christmas does not seek to ridicule Christian faith, but tell a story centered on human flaws, redemption, and moral choices, themes common in many films. The controversy began after Khan reportedly raised concerns over the movie's title and perceived themes, arguing that it could be offensive to Christians and undermine the significance of Christmas. That's much we can take at this hour. Thank you for staying tuned to African News 24 TV. For more on these stories and others, please stay connected with us on all our social media platforms. And don't forget to visit our website at africannews24.ng for the latest updates. I'm Timothy Crown. Do have a good evening.